This driver's license stuff is really eating me alive. It's like, if a cop wants to ask for that without any reason while I'm sitting in my car parked, I'd like to know their certificate to enforce the law. I'd like to know the judge's certificate. I'd like to know I'd like to see their IDs. You know, it's so one-sided in this state. It's incredible how they could just ask you to produce all this documentation, and they don't have to. All they have to do is tell you that they're in this position while they're wearing some clothing that's supposed to indicate it. It's ridiculous. Maybe if I put on that clothing, then I'll be one of them, and then I don't need to also produce documentation. Just make a note of this. I had this guy who pulled up to my car. I think I'm in an industrial zone, and asked me if I needed a job. And I think I asked him, well, what kind of job does he have, or whatever, or why is he asking? You know, you just don't. I've never had anybody pull up and ask me if I needed a job. So I didn't know if he was like trying to fish me out or what with deciding whether to call the cops on me or not. But then he was like, oh, and then I think I gave him some attitude or something. It's like, what are you asking for? And he's like, I thought you needed a job, but I guess not. So he said I was looking at hiring somebody for 13 or whatever, but he drove off. And I'm like, whatever, I'm not desperate for the money. I can live on very, very little, much less than the average poor person, so that's fine by me, but I'll just make a note of it. Alright, well, I just started LaborMax, and this came out, so if anybody wants to refer me to it, I can make some money. I'll try to get to 40 hours if I can while I'm here. I keep trying to park my car and bicycle in different spots, and sometimes I forget where I parked it. I'll be walking to one spot that I would have parked it before, but because I changed it up, it's somewhere else. I was thinking I could just email the clerk of courts and have the ID settled, but a lot of guys are saying that it's not possible, that you're arguing a different statute with that, because there's no resolution for obstruction by just showing your ID in court. That only applies to a different statute. I might as well have been just declaring that I didn't kill anybody, I guess. Gotta replace my tire again. It's actually bubbling. That liquid, it's bubbling out of the tire right at the nozzle. I bought that special tire that like seals with some weird liquid. Oh man, this tire changing is one of my biggest expenses for bicycling around here. They got so many things to pop your tires in Boise. It's very frustrating. Well, with this self-sealing tire I've just replaced the second one. I'm on my third. This is the third. Second one didn't last very long. I would call it more of the messy standard valve bicycle tube, and not so much a self-sealing, because it's just a messier tube with all the liquid and stuff that it spews out from inside. It didn't do much for this second tube. Third tube's the charm. The first tube seemed okay, like it did better, but maybe that was a fluke. Maybe I just didn't run over as many shards on the road in Boise. Find out how it's really made with this third tube. You can feel there's liquid you can feel in there, but I'm not sure if that does much. Alright, so upon pumping this up, I just checked where the holes were. There were two holes that looked like I did run over something sharp, and they weren't far from each other, so 2 holes took this thing out. I really don't see a problem with showing where I've been hanging out and stuff. Yeah, I'm getting into a routine of hanging out at the same places over and over again while waiting for my court case. But, I mean, what's the worst that people could do to me, and why? It just doesn't make any sense. It's such a hot day. Just kind of checking out the type of people who hang out in downtown. See a lot of people wearing very little. Exposing their skin, getting burnt. Well, there's not quite as many people downtown. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many people hanging out downtown in this heat. This would probably be like the central focal point. I got a mister here.
I knew you were going to say
That's pretty neat to throw some moisture mist out. It's really dry. That's why I got all this caked blood in my nose. Alright, back to the library. Let me just say, I feel more inclined to lay down a lot. And I've noticed there seems to be more people laying down to rest around here in this heat. It's kind of interesting that they had that art show, like it's like a street fair in the park, and the trail that's just completely covered all day by the trees. That's a great spot to set up for shade. Temperature gauge says 95 degrees. It's very stifling.